What is up, everybody? It's your girl Kelsey, and I am back with another video. If you're loyal, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, where you been, sis? I've been waiting on you to subscribe to my channel. But for real though, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel. Okay, today we are going to get into my pregnancy story, part number 4. So this is the last video of this series, and if you want to know what part 4 is about, please keep on watching. Okay, part number 3, I left off with the turning point of my pregnancy. I went to my anatomy scan and they told me that they would look at the rest of her organs once I came back, because she was not positioned for them to see everything, but everything looked good. So I went and got my anatomy scan. That was at 19 weeks. Everything was good, like I said, and maybe 3 weeks went by. I went back home for spring break, and I'm just gonna tell you like everything that happened up to my next appointment. I went home for spring break, and I realized I would always look up stuff like how often is the baby supposed to be moving, like what am I supposed to be feeling like, and things of that nature. So I looked up like when people felt their first kick and all that. Of course, I didn't know what it felt like. This was my first pregnancy, so I didn't know what to expect. Now, I went to the doctor at 19 weeks. We had spring break. I think it was the last week in March, and I felt her moving. Okay, I felt her moving in there. Like I said, I don't know what the feeling was. I just felt like a thump, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling her kick. Now, I told my mom I was feeling her kick and all of that. I downloaded this app. I forgot what it was called, but it was basically so you could hear your baby's heartbeat while they're inside of you. So I downloaded this app, and for some reason, like, one of my friends is pregnant right now also. Well, she was also pregnant while I was pregnant, and she's still pregnant now. And she was due like 2 or 3 weeks after me, and she's the reason why I downloaded this app. I downloaded the app, and she could hear her baby's heartbeat no problem. It was just like clear as day. You could tell that it was a heartbeat. I downloaded this app. The whole spring break, I felt her moving, and I didn't think twice about it. I thought, I got on the app and I couldn't find the heartbeat. Now, I was worried about this, but I was like not letting it show that much. I was worried that I couldn't hear her heartbeat, but I felt fine, and I didn't have any symptoms. I wasn't bleeding. I wasn't doing any of that to make me think, oh, something is wrong. But it did worry me that I did not hear a heartbeat. But I didn't worry that much, because I did feel movement inside of me that I felt like was kicking. That I thought was kicking, if I say that. Okay. So, my mama was like, well, don't worry about it and stuff like that. And I mean, like I said, you always have that feeling. I mean, pregnancy it's a dangerous thing. Like, you never know what can happen. Everything is good, and then boom, you could turn around, everything is not good. So let me just get right on into it. So last time they told me that they were gonna look, I'm everywhere. Okay. So I went home for spring break, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't hear the heartbeat, and I felt movement. So it was like, I mean, I can't hear the heartbeat, but I can feel movement. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like this. I didn't know what to think, though I was worried. After spring break, I went back to school, back to work, and I had the doctor's appointment April 5th. My appointment was April 5th, 2019, and that was the week after spring break. So I'm sorry I'm rambling. I'm just trying to make sure I say everything. So yeah, I went to the doctor on the 5th. On the 5th, that's when they were supposed to finish up my anatomy scan and look at the rest of the organs that they could not see 4 weeks prior to that. So I went to the doctor's office. Now after spring break, I did not feel the movements that I was feeling when I was on spring break. So I went to the doctor, but of course I didn't think anything of it. Okay, now I had looked at videos of women who had miscarriages. I had looked at everything when it comes from birth to having miscarriage to feeling this type of thing, feeling this type. I looked up everything. I looked at videos and I read things all the time about pregnancy. So I went to the doctor by myself because my mom, she lived 2.5 hours away, and my boyfriend, he was staying 2.5 hours away at that point in time. So I went to the doctor by myself. Now I had that feeling. I was just scared. I was always scared when I went and got an anatomy scan, and especially going by myself. You know, I didn't know what to expect. So they called me back, and I went back there, hopped on the bed, you know, just excited, ready to get the anatomy scan over with and move forward with the pregnancy. So and this is like something I'll never forget. It's something that will stay with me until the end of time. Like, I promise you, it will stay with me. I got up there. She put the stuff on my stomach so that she could rub the thing on there. She started off with the TV screen on, just because what was coming up next was not expected. Like, I didn't expect it. I'm pretty sure she didn't either, but you never know. So she's put it on. Of course, I was 23 weeks at this point, so she put it on, not thinking anything of it. I looked at the screen, and it's something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. Like, the screen, the baby was on there, and she was so still, like she was not moving. The sonographer, she was like, let me turn this off for just a second. I knew then, like, I had watched a YouTube video about this same exact thing, and the girl said that the sonographer turned off the TV so she couldn't see the baby, and it turned out she was having a miscarriage. Well, guess what? I had a miscarriage. It turned out that I had a miscarriage. I had no symptoms. I wasn't feeling anything. I mean, nothing. I had no idea. This was a regular doctor's appointment that I went to, and I found out that I had a miscarriage at 23 weeks. 2 days before I was 24 weeks. She told me, she turned off the screen, and she moved it around. She was still looking as the screen was turned off, but I already had that gut feeling, and I knew. She turned around to me, and she was like, Kelsey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your baby is gone. So of course I didn't know what to do. I was there by myself. I just broke down. Like, I did not know what to do. Like, it was something that I never expected. Of course, because I'm a lot of people that I knew were pregnant. My god sister is pregnant. Friends that I worked with at a restaurant pregnant. I mean, a girl that I played basketball with pregnant. Two girls that I played basketball with pregnant. I mean, and then I'm looking at everybody like, oh, I'm gonna be okay. Like everybody in my family, I'm looking at, basing their situation on mine, like I'm gonna be okay. And then to go into a regular doctor's appointment where they're supposed to be finishing up my anatomy scan and finding out that I had a miscarriage. Like, I can't even tell you what I was feeling at that point. Now, I was there by myself. The first person I called was my boyfriend. He was at work. I could barely talk. Like, I really did not know what to do. I called him and he left work to be on his way to me. I called my mama. She didn't know what to say. She was just trying to, he was trying to comfort me, and my mama was trying to comfort me about the situation because it was a shock. Like, I mean, it's one thing you having symptoms and you knowing, oh, something is wrong, you're bleeding. I had no symptoms. I was not bleeding. I did not feel sick. I did not feel any type of way. I felt normal. The only thing was in the back of my mind, like, why is she not moving that often? Like, why is she not moving now? Like, people are 16, 17 weeks saying that they feel their baby moving. Mine was not that active. So my mama and my boyfriend, they were on their way to me. Now, my boyfriend's cousin, one of his cousins, lived where I was living, and so she got to me probably in about 10 minutes. Like, when I tell you, I was on the floor, I was crying. Like, at this point, I did not know what I did not think it was real at that point. Like, it felt all like a nightmare. And she came to me, and after I left out of the room, I still had to go back and see the doctor because we had to talk about options, like, and what we were gonna do. In my mind, I'm thinking, like, what did I do? Like, what happened and all of this stuff. Of course, they can't tell you right then what happened. It happens to a lot of women, so they can't tell me right then and there what happened. But we had to go ahead and talk about options because I couldn't keep her in me because I would have got sick or anything. So okay, so I went back to the room. My boyfriend's cousin made it there to see me, and I don't know what I would have done if she did not live where I was living. And I would have been by myself for like 2.5 hours waiting on my mom to come and my boyfriend to come. So the doctor came in, and she was hugging on me. Of course, I was still like in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was crying. Like, I swole, about to be swole shut because I was crying so much. And she asked me, did I want to go home and her give me medicine and then come back on Monday, because it was Friday when I went to the doctor's appointment. And then she asked me, did I want to come back, her give me medicine for over the weekend to calm me down, and then come back Monday to get whatever procedure I chose to get in order to get the baby out. So she gave me two options. The first option was I could go in labor. I can actually have her and see her. But she told me, which is crazy to me, she told me that the baby had at least been deceased for about 3 weeks, which was right after I got the past anatomy scan at like 19 weeks. So she told me that it looked like she had been deceased for about 3 weeks. So my first option was to go in labor and actually see her. which I know a lot of people do that option, but the second option was to get a C. I had a C, and I'm sorry, it's called a D and E. Was the second option that she gave me. So it was either go into labor and see her, or it was option number 2, which was a D and E. It is also called a D and C. A D and C is when you're early in your miscarriage. I had to get a D and E, which is dilation and evacuation, because I was 2 days from being 24 weeks, which the baby is a pretty nice size. Like, it's babies that's like premature baby, like the size of a premature baby. So she was probably about a pound or something like that. So I had to get a D and E. So those were my 2 options. I keep in mind that my boyfriend or my mom was not there yet, and I did not want to make the decision without him. So I didn't know if he wanted to see the baby or not, because I know that the baby was in me. I was pregnant, but he also took part in that. So I didn't want to make any decisions based off how I was feeling at that moment. So after thinking about it, it was maybe about 30 minutes, and the doctor let me stay in the room. And it was actually a nurse in there before my boyfriend's cousin got there to be with me. It was a nurse in there that stayed with me. And we ended up deciding to do the D&E procedure, because even though it's in my mind now, like, what did she look like and all of this stuff, I did not want that to stick in my head of how she was. Like, I didn't want that to be the last image in my head that I saw of her. Like, I'd rather the image be one of the ultrasound pictures that I have or something like that. I did not want to see her that way. So, not saying there's anything wrong with that, because I know a lot of women do go into labor and see their kid that is deceased, but I just decided not to go that route, and I decided to do the D and E. So for the D and E, I had to be put to sleep, and the doctor, at certain times, she had to see other patients. So I basically had to either do it then or like wait. So I wanted to go ahead and do it that same day that I found out that I had a miscarriage, because I didn't want to go the whole weekend knowing that I had a deceased baby inside of me. Some people do wait just so they can have those last moments with their baby inside of them, but I did not want to do that. Like, I did not want to go the whole weekend knowing that my baby was deceased inside of me. So I went ahead and did it that day. Now, my mama and my boyfriend, they were still not there yet, and I had to go ahead and go back into surgery. My boyfriend's aunt and his cousin were still there with me, and they were there when I went back into surgery. I had to go back before my mama and boyfriend got there, which made me upset because I was so scared to go back and have surgery, because I woke up that morning thinking, okay, I'm about to go see my baby on the ultrasound and stuff like that. And then I ended up having a miscarriage and having to have surgery that day. You just never know. So I went back into surgery. When I woke up, everybody, my family, my friends were there. Like, they had to drive like 2.5 hours to get to me. My boyfriend's family was there, and I was just a mess. Like, to this day, it's just something that is going to stay with me forever. I'm never going to forget it, even though I have ways that I cope with having a miscarriage, but you never stop thinking about it. So of course, after I had surgery and things like that, it was a long process of, me crying and people talking to me, people texting me, calling me. Of course, I didn't really answer the phone because I was just too upset to talk about the situation that happened. So, yeah, the doctor told me, I was still in contact with the doctor a little bit, so I had to go get a checkup because I had to have surgery. And she was telling me everything looked good, everything was back into place, things like that. And she told me that they were going to do a test to see what happens. Sometimes when you have a miscarriage, you find out why it happened. Sometimes you don't. So I was praying and wishing that they found out what happened and why I had the miscarriage so I can prevent it the next time I get pregnant. So that is the next video that I will be talking about. The next video is what caused the miscarriage and what I have to do the next time I get pregnant. If you have watched all of these videos, part 1, part 2, part 3, and this is part 4, thank you so much. This series is like very important to me. It's something that I can look back on and grow from. And for those of you who have had miscarriages, and not only miscarriages, but have had babies and your baby passed away, or it was stillborn or something like that, this is for you as well. Like, I'm doing this to cope with my miscarriage. Talking about it helps me a lot. So if this video or if this series helped you in any kind of way, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video about my miscarriage / pregnancy story, because it will tell you what happened and why I had a miscarriage. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.